your day going? Me? I spent most of my day on the phone with Washington, D.C. insiders. Why, you ask? Good question. I'm glad you asked. I heard some unbelievably terrifying news for people who like freedom and privacy and digital security and like to not be in camps. You see, the United States Treasury Department proposed a new bill. And I thought this was a joke. I put it on my Twitter, but I thought there's no way they're this bold, they're this brazen, to actually surveil and penetrate open source software. Now, you might be thinking, well, haven't they been trying to do this for a long time? Yes, they're talking about a full department, 24/7, 365, multi tens of billions of dollar budget. If that happens, the people of the world are in extreme trouble. But I thought, this must be a scare tactic. There is no way in a time where the markets are teetering on complete collapse that the governments would be dumb enough to allocate this amount of funds to a project like this, right? I wish I was right. Sadly, they are petrified of what's happening on open source software. Linux is under a full-scale attack. I'm gonna break down what you need to be doing immediately before this goes into effect. Oh yeah, spoiler, Congress is actually gonna vote this in, but there is a few things you can do right now, and I'm gonna break these down, how you can set up your Linux, some things you can do. So you're gonna wanna buckle up with this video because it doesn't matter where you are in the world, the United States is oh so powerful and oh so rich based on, you know, people like mine and potentially your tax dollars, especially small businesses like my company. We pay a boatload of taxes. So they take that money and they turn it around and use it against me and use it against you. But I'm gonna double back and I'm gonna give you some tips today in Operation Go Beep Yourself, government. I mean, that was a little cheesy, go beep yourself, but I like to try to keep it PG friendly because I got 4 kids, right? So, yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people and this is a fundamental problem. Now, they've been taking stabs at Monero, they've been taking stabs at Linux, at Session, at Signal, on and on and on and on, indefinitely, right? They've been taking stabs at these softwares constantly. But because of what's happening in crypto, you may have seen the breakout. You may have seen gold at an all-time high, and then it fell back down. But the markets are becoming harder and harder to suppress, right? It's kind of like somebody who's kicked around. You kick them around, you kick them around. Eventually, they're going to learn how to defend themselves. Eventually, they're going to get stronger. Eventually, they're going to try to fight back a little, right? That's what the markets are doing. They've been suppressed and pushed down and manipulated for so long that they're becoming harder and harder to push back, and the government is panicking. You may have seen the US debt clock, where we are piling on more debt on a monthly basis than we used to pile on quarterly just a couple of years ago. This is not sustainable. Well, what's happening now is the government is petrified of crypto. Bitcoin just hit an $800 billion evaluation, which Bitcoin at 40K is more profitable than all these companies. You see Visa, you see MasterCard, you see Berkshire, you see all these companies. And Bitcoin, this community, this peer-to-peer decentralized, is more profitable. That puts the fear of everything into the government. And then you look at how these things are transacted. You look at open source, you look at encrypted, you look at peer-to-peer, you look at decentralized. All words that all governments want to ban across the world because that scares them to death, because that is the complete opposite of what they want. Full control, full dictatorship, full God mode. You know, happy slaves are going to end freedom for everybody. Because people are happy in their little slave life with their little job, being told what to do, and their little bank account that's controlled and manipulated, and their little house that they're never going to own, but they're told that home ownership, and aren't you so lucky? This is a nightmare, and people don't realize what is happening right in front of them. And it's starting to really hit the fringes because they're going for full control. So what can you do to keep yourself safe? Because I mean, there was a time where just having a VPN would put you in the top 1% of people private on the internet. There was a time where just using Linux would put you in the top 1% of private and secure on the internet. But those days are gone. So what would I recommend to all of you right now? What are some tips that you need to do right now? Well, here's a few things. First of all, When you're using Linux, and I strongly suggest you use Linux, because I got a video coming out soon about Microsoft, and I'm gonna break down what Microsoft's actually doing, the actual evils behind the curtain. There are a lot of Microsoft employees exposing, like we all know that Microsoft is an evil, demonic company that is bashing TikTok because they're scared to death. Amazon bashing TikTok because they're scared to death. They don't care about the people. They don't care about national security. They care about market share. And they care about control. I trust TikTok more than all these other companies because at least they're in China, and if they steal my data, they can't do anything with it. You know what they're doing with it with these American companies, giving it to these American intelligence agencies? Now, I think TikTok is a piece of garbage. I use it like everyone else. I get banned consistently like everyone else, like everywhere else. But they're not any better or worse. I'm not defending TikTok. What I'm telling you is they're not any better or worse. So when you go on Linux, there's a few things you need to understand. One, you're not private and secure just because you're using open source software, privacy software. You're not private and secure just because you're using Signal or Session or any of these tools. There's some things you need to do. First thing you need to do, I would use something like Veracrypt and encrypt everything on your computer. Here's what you need to think about. For most of you, here's your computer. This is a simple playing card. Oh, how ironic, the 6 of hearts, 666 of hearts. Okay, simple playing card. Okay, most of you, this is your computer. You do your banking here. You do your social media. You talk to family. You talk to friends if you got any. Nowadays, nobody has any friends because everyone's got 72 friends on Facebook and no friends in real life. Like, we have really given technology way too much control. Quit doing that. It's not worth it. I don't want to go down a tangent. I'll try to stay on track because I got a big tangent on this, but I'm going to try to stay on track for my standards. We all know I don't stay on track ever, and I never will. And don't comment like, get to the point. Kick rocks. I don't care about anybody's opinion when it comes to this stuff. So the reality is, this is your computer, okay? This is everything you got. You do everything on one machine. What is the premise of Linux? What is the premise of these things? I'm gonna explain this to you. First playing card, you should have your ISP, your internet service provider. You should use a router that's on a VPN. Now, I've done tons of videos, you can see them here. Separate your ISP because now the government can actually request those logs warrantless. And that's the thing with these, they're doing all this warrantless. That's why they're going through Congress. You may say, Cody, they're already doing this. Yes, but you don't understand. Right now they're doing it, but nothing is admissible in court. And what they're doing is a crime. Look at Edward Snowden, look at WikiLeaks, and look at everything they did there with Julian Assange. They did crimes. These guys called out their crime. Now, I'm not saying these guys are angels, but they called out their crimes. These guys are on the run for life. These guys will be in jail for life because they called out their crimes. They're looking at taking what they're doing illegally and making it legal. If they make it legal, you're all screwed. All of you, okay? So here's the thing. Your internet service provider, you need to cloak that by a VPN with a VPN router. I've talked about MoFi. I've talked about tons of different ones. I've talked about the Netgear Nighthawk. But your ISP needs to not know what you do because now legally warrantless across the entire planet. Don't act like no, I don't care where you live. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you live in the most, Panama, Costa Rica. I don't care if you live in Belize. I don't care if you live in Argentina or Mexico or any off-the-wall Bermuda, Bahamas. All of these different places where people think they're safe. You're not safe anywhere. You need to treat it as if start treating your computer as if a government agent is looking over your shoulder. Creepy? That's what they're doing. Now, am I saying you're doing anything illegal? No, but here's the problem. They can take everything out of context, and we live in a world everywhere where you are guilty until proven innocent. Guard your ISP. Don't let your ISP know where you are. Next, you have your computer, laptop, tablet, phone, desktop, whatever you have. Next, you need to have a VPN on it. I recommend Movad. I recommend a few more. You can go to PrivacyX tools, the tools websites down below. You can check out the tools that I recommend, okay? But I recommend that you separate the two. You have a VPN on your machine, okay? So you're separating your traffic. That's not enough. Now, I've done more advanced tutorials about spoofing your MAC address. MAC address is not for Apple products. Everyone has a MAC address. I've talked about spoofing that. I've talked about IMIE numbers. I've talked about a lot of these things. But let's keep it simple for all of you. Now, you're gonna have an operating system. For most of you, it's gonna be Microsoft or Apple. Now in this video, we're talking about Linux. You should have Linux. Linux is very, very important, okay? I know some of you have to use other tools for work. You know, I've got Apple, I don't have anything Microsoft. I don't know anybody with anything Microsoft, but at least not in my personal vicinity, not here at the Privacy X headquarters. But what I will say is in my office, in my building, in the offices that are down the hall, this is just obviously a set, that's all, I'm just in a giant warehouse. But down the hall in the offices, we have tons of Mac computers because editing and doing all these other projects, but they're very specific purposes, not personal stuff, personal specific purposes. So treat your work computers, I know some of you have to have them, but for your personal stuff, I recommend you use Linux. There's really no excuse at this point. Understand that everything you're doing is being tracked and cataloged and getting ready to be put in Web3 under your name. So everything you're doing, every email, all this stuff, if you're not sending it that it's encrypted, is being cataloged for you indefinitely now. It's happening. So you have Linux. Now what flavor of Linux? I like Unix. I like Cubes. Those are really the two I recommend. You can use basically whatever you want. I do recommend you have two things. One, everything on your desktop should be in encrypted folder. So you have to basically have an additional password. So even if somebody does get a backdoor, they have to have an additional password to decrypt your hard drive. You can use VeraCrypt, it's free. Use VeraCrypt, encrypt everything, okay? So you have to decrypt it. Then, and you can see all this right here, I recommend, and I've done videos on this, guys, I recommend 100% of you encrypt everything on your hard drive, VPN for your traffic, which VPN is almost nothing, then use Linux, use something like Unix, have a virtual box, a virtual machine, so a machine within your machine, anything that's important you can do in that virtual box, which will run through multiple nodes and a relay, okay? Excuse me, multiple relays and an exit node. You're going to want to put this together to where anything important is not done directly in a machine that's directly tied to you. Now, you might say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. I totally understand. But here's the problem. You need to understand this mindset. When we have a government that is treating us all like criminals and everything we do is wrong, and they're just sifting and looking, they're just like looking, is this wrong? Is this wrong? Is this wrong? Is this wrong? They're just looking for like one thing that they can take out of context so they can put you in a FEMA camp, right? So what I recommend you do is not let them see anything because you say, well, I'm not doing anything, I don't have anything to hide. Well, so is everything they're doing illegal? Because they hide everything. All of their agendas, everything they've ever done, everything they've ever said, classified, right? All the stuff, even from 100 years ago. They wanted to classify all the evil doings they did in 2020 for 75 to 125 years. But yet, they want to track every little move you make. So make sure, without question, that you take your encrypted files, everything you do, you can organize them on your desktop and just encrypt them. So if anybody got your machine, if anybody stole your machine, there's nothing they can do. Then you use Linux. You compartmentalize your life. You need to start separating your work life from your personal life, from any hobbies or outside stuff to very important. So how would I break this down? Okay. Work is work. You all know what that is. Me, I own 2 companies, right? That's my work. In fact, I break my work into 2 because I own 2 totally separate companies. Privacy X is very different than the e-commerce companies I own, right? Very different worlds. So 2, boom, 2 separate things. Personal life. I think you know what that is. Your personal life. Now, I recommend for people like me, I break my personal life in multiple pieces. I have a very, very tight, small circle. That's one. Then I have more of an extended circle. Most of you would refer to those as acquaintances. Me, it's my network. I have a giant network of people all over the world that I know because of the industries that I'm in and the things that I've done for the last 15 years. I know thousands of people. How do I organize that? How do I catalog that? I don't have thousands of friends. I don't have dozens of friends. My small circle, personal life, maybe 12 people. My extended personal life, a couple thousand people because of my network. And that I break apart into categories. Now, I don't want to complicate this for you, but I'm giving you the categories I use. Most of these you won't need. Pick and choose the ones you need, okay? Then you've got hobbies. For me, I play high stakes professional poker in Vegas all the time. I've met tons of you here on the Vegas, well, I'm on a set in a warehouse in Vegas. But down the road is the Vegas Strip, and I met a lot of you guys there. I play poker. I have a burner phone for poker. I have a whole poker life. And I only turn that burner phone on when I'm on the strip playing poker, or I play in Florida, or I play in Texas, sometimes Arizona. But that's really it. Arizona, Texas, Florida, Vegas. I kind of bounce around in that vicinity. That's what this is for. Separate part of my life. Then you've got any kind of like hobbies outside of that. You know, so some of you might be like into a specific thing. Now you don't have to have full separate phones and stuff, but you can catalog this. And this is where Cubes in Linux, it actually is like an organizer for your life. It's very convenient, very easy. And if you're not a very big techie, it's not that hard. I would argue that it's not much harder than learning how to like build a simple WordPress site. Like it's not like rocket science. Now, if you're like, well, I can't do that at all, I'm more of like sign up for an account, then maybe you should use Whonix, because Whonix is even easier. But at least do yourself the favor and the courtesy. Your future self will thank you of at least learning those things. I work with people all over the world that are 70 and they know nothing about computers. They spend a lifetime as a welder or a carpenter or an accountant, and all of a sudden they're learning cubes in their free time. So anybody can do it. Compartmentalize these things, okay? Make sure you compartmentalize the different aspects of your life. And then the most important one, the highly sensitive personal stuff. What would that be? That would be crypto. That would be stocks and bonds. That would be your banking, your bank accounts. Do not use any financial services app under any circumstances on a mobile device, period, end of story. Okay, here's my barometer. I could hack you. I could hack you. I'm not a world-class hacker. I'm not even that good. My team, world class. Some of the people I know here at DEF CON in Vegas, oh my gosh, they could hack the world if they probably wanted to. I'm not very good. I know the fundamentals and the basics, and I run a very successful team, and I have a very high-end network all around the world. I'm not a super talented computer hacker behind the scenes. No, I'm not. I'm definitely average. I know enough to move mountains and move pieces, but my high-level talents and high-level skills are in a different arena. I know enough because I'm around world-class people. I'm not world-class, but I know how easy it is for them to brute force your phone if you've got PayPal, if you've got Stripe, if you've got any of these financial services app, if you've got an app to your bank, if it's a credit union, it's 100% no good. They're the easiest. Brute forcing any credit union app, scary easy. Wells Fargo, Bank of America's a joke. They have basically no security. Credit services, some people have like credit apps on their phones. Don't have any of that on your phones. Do all of that on your computer that is locked down. Quit doing these things on your phone. Your phone is the biggest risk to your life. That's why governments are so adamant. Phone, back when Obama was president, the Obama phone. They want you to have a phone because they control you with phone. I've been doing an experiment for the last 2 months. I have 0 phones and I don't miss it. And I mean 0. I have burner phones in my trucks, in my cars, in my houses, in my offices, in my RVs. Everywhere I go, burner phones. But I rarely use them outside of the specifically dedicated ones for the one. Because my assistant's got phones. Like I'm around people with phones, but I don't have a phone. And I don't see a phone and I don't touch a phone. I'll go weeks without even touching a phone. Once in a while, I'll borrow like my daughter's phone to like take a picture and say, hey, send that to me or something, you know? After we strip out all the metadata, of course. But the reality is, understanding these things is vital. Don't let yourself be a pawn in the machine. You don't want to be the pawn. You want to be the king or the queen. Be the king and the queen in your story. Quit making the government the king and the queen and allowing yourself to be the pawn. If I was in my own, I'm the king. I'm the royal flush, period. The government is nothing. They're irrelevant. They're a bunch of clowns. Quit making them your overlords. They are not. They're regular people that you elected. Quit allowing them to do this. Well, I know that's too much to ask. You won't do that because people are weak and pathetic. And like I said, happy slaves will end freedom. So you got to start protecting yourself. Okay, what else can you do? What are some other things that you can do? I know, oh, you're using playing cards. Because I'm very good at sleight of hand, I love playing cards. It's my thing. I know it's not a great example, but I want you to understand what you need to do. The next thing, never have a phone number connected to yourself again, ever again. It's too late. Can't do it. Here's the problem. If we're in line, here's me and here's you. You're in line. Oh, I'm getting a grande coffee, mocha, star pumpkin face latte. Great, congratulations. Oh, what's your name? Becky. Oh, Becky. And this is me and this is Becky. Or you're at Barnes & Noble. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then, oh, you got a number for our rewards program. Starbucks got a reward. Oh, what's your name? What's your email? What's your phone number? Let's say I get Becky's phone number, which I've been in places, thousands of people. Oh yeah, my number is 555-587-5192. What? Are you kidding? I could only imagine that there's hackers that stand by these checkout places and just memorize numbers. You take that number there's 3 dark web databases that are very easy to access. One of them is actually listed on the hidden wiki. And they're very, very inexpensive. They cost a couple of $100. You can reverse number check these. A lot of people say, oh, you Google it for free. Forget that. There's whole databases of all of people's information. These phone numbers, you go to these phone companies, your social security number, your address, and everyone's so stupid. They put where they are. I always say, do not put where you sleep on your driver's license. Oh, that's all people do. Oh, my state says I have to. Again, are they your God? Are they your master? You don't think there's a way around Privacy X? We've got tons of ways around. What are you talking about? I work with people all over the world, ways around. But you're like, nope, these are my masters. These are my gods. So Becky's in line. She gives her phone number. There's someone like me, gets that phone number. You can reverse engineer their whole life. Now, a real creep could literally be in her apartment or her house when she got home. That's scary. As someone who has 3 daughters, that's scary. This is why I educate my kids on this stuff, so this will never happen to them. My kids will never have a phone number that they're out there giving out that's in their name. Never gonna happen. My kids will never have a phone number in their name. My kids will never have anything in their name, actually. They'll never have nothing. My kids will probably never have credit a day in their life because that is a slave number built by a government that's not needed. All my kids' stuff will run through trust from day one. None of my kids are 18 yet, but when they are, I can assure you they will have nothing in their name ever under any circumstances. Now, I know, I've had stuff in my name for years until I didn't. Up until my late 20s, I had everything in my name. And I almost lost everything through identity theft. In fact, in all fairness, I did basically lose everything. I didn't have as much as I have today, obviously back then. But everything that I had, which wasn't a lot, but it was a lot for me, I lost through identity theft. I was able to get it back, but it was my own stupidity because I just thought the world was peaches and cream and rainbows and just giving out my number and my social on a job interview or to anybody else. Oh, just write it down. Home address, there you go. Social, there you go. Phone number, there you go. I mean, what are we doing? Never give out any information under any circumstances to anybody at all. Question everything, okay? Understand that your device is watching you, so you need to take these steps to reverse it. Now, I'm a big proponent of System 76. People ask me, Cody, are you sponsored by System 76? Nope, I'm sponsored by nobody because I want to give you the tools and the tools and the resources to be able to do these things. All these companies I'm talking about, by the way, oh, I'm sponsored by none of them. I've got money from none of them. In fact, most of these companies don't even have that much money because they're open source. We're fighting juggernauts like the federal government of the United States, like Apple, like Microsoft, like Google, like Amazon. Oh, the necessary evil. Fine, I'm not saying you don't have to necessarily ever use these companies, but I'm saying I would start shying away. I'm saying I would start moving in a different direction. I know there's some conveniences, but I had a guy the other day, and I'm not picking on this guy. I love every email. I respond to as many as I can. I get hundreds of emails a day, hundreds. I had a guy email me. He said, Cody, I love your videos. I'm a huge fan. Listen, I'm a regular guy just like you. I get these emails every day. I appreciate it, but I'm not a celebrity. I'm nobody special. I'm just a regular dude. But he's like, dude, I'm a huge privacy advocate. I've been doing this for 10 years. Bro, you emailed me from Gmail, okay? And I don't judge. But in my mind, I had a little chuckle because I'm like, you've been doing this for 10 years, but you emailed me from Gmail. If you would just have like a free encrypted account, or you'd have said, hey, I want to talk to you, and we do a little chat on an encrypted messenger. I'm not hating, I'm not judging. I get emails from Yahoo and AOL every day. I don't judge ever under any circumstances. But I find this comical because it's so easy, and here's what it is. It's like a drug. It's so easy to be in that ecosystem, and I get it. We got to fight back because it's like Amazon, full ecosystem, Google, full ecosystem, Apple, full ecosystem. I mean, they try to make Apple a status symbol. Like, oh my gosh, can you even afford the green bubbles? You got the blue bubbles? Are you kidding? Like, it's crazy. They try to like talk down to people over some crappy cheap phone. It's like $1,500. It's not even, oh my gosh, a Lamborghini. No, it's a phone, bro. It's a phone. Who cares? Cheap and worthless, and the companies control it. So understand that. Now, looking at phones with Linux, Librem, I've talked about this. There's a few other options. I got to do some in-depth tutorials, but they're not great. They're not great, and we got to keep moving the needle forward. I've talked to a few companies, but they're just not moving in the right direction. If you know any great Linux phones, let me know down below. But also, phones are beneath you. You want all your important stuff to be on your computer because you can lock your computer down, okay? Then, looking at the tools and the softwares and the things that you use, make sure that you compartmentalize your phone number, like I talked about. Make sure you compartmentalize your life in cubes. If you can't do that, you can do it in Unix. Won't be as detailed. And then make sure you compartmentalize all the different aspects of your email. Does it mean you have to have a bunch of emails? Nope. You don't have to have a bunch of emails. But what you need to do is not use the ecosystems. Should you use social media? No. You really shouldn't unless you're completely private and secure and your name's not on it. You're like, well, you're here on social media. Well, maybe I'm banned everywhere, so it doesn't matter. But do you really think any real information about me is on this or on anything? I mean, at what point would you think that's possible? You know how many people have tried to dox me, including governments around the world? Like, it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Nobody knows where I am, what I do, except for being in Vegas and being playing poker. But the fact is, good luck even finding that, or good luck getting in. So the reality is that most of these things, like, you know, you've seen the tables, right? Behind the glass? Okay, so the reality when you look at these things is compartmentalize these things. And the next thing, start getting comfortable and familiar with not using your real information, your real name. Nikki Haley, who's a psychopath, recently said that everyone on the internet should have to use their real name on every single thing they do, which is never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen with me, because what's my real name? What's a name? What's in a name? Anybody know what a name is? Where's my name? Where's my name at? Is my name really Cody Hawk? Actually, it is. It's the name that I was born with. But ironically, I used the name that I was born with, but my government name changed back in 2017. Does my mom know my name? She does not. Will she ever? No, she won't. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter, does it? Because to me, to her, I'll always be Cody Hawk. What is my name on my tax forms? Doesn't matter. Does it really matter? No. So understand these things. Understand that you need to always be a step ahead. You need to think of this like you're playing chess. Too many of you are playing tiddlywinks, and I'm not judging. I'm hoping, I'm wishing for the best for you. I'm hoping that you will be able to shift gears and make things better for you, your family, and your life. Now, I know you're like, oh, some dude on the internet saying all this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos and tutorials and breakdowns, but I wanted to talk to you about what's happening because it's getting more serious than ever. Should you use social media for business? No. Unless you have to. Should you use Facebook and Instagram? No, no. I don't recommend you, as of right now, as of this video, I don't recommend you use Facebook and Instagram ever again. Now, if you do, that's your choice, but understand there's no getting around it anymore. Even if you use the fake name, even if you do all the steps that I talk about, these companies are spending billions on tracking you. It's impossible not to be tracked. So understand that if you use Facebook and Instagram, you are submitted and being tracked, and there's nothing you can do about it. The AI that they're using now behind the scenes is insane. Now, privacy companies like mine and so many others are using AI for misinformation, disinformation, plowing. Dude, I'm living in 600 addresses all around the United States right now because AI is my best friend, and it allows to make all this misinformation, disinformation. It allows to produce these things. I've been doing it for people in the Ghost program for a while now. We're structuring all this, allowing them to actually have anonymity and freedom. That said, they're using AI for the complete reverse. So it's a full-blown tug-of-war battle. It is a battle. And they're more well-funded than all of us put together, and we've got to fund them. We fund them. We work, they take a chunk, so we make, for people like me who have the audacity to be successful, they're gonna take as much as they can. Then we gotta pay for our life. Then we gotta pay for everything else. Then we gotta pay for property taxes. Then if we invest money, we gotta break some of that off for, you know, capital gains. Then if you invest in something, they want a piece of that as well. And I don't know what this tax is for, but it's for something, sales tax, consumption tax. If you're overseas, you probably got VAT tax. Tax on tax on tax on tax, right? All the tax. All right, I digress. I get worked up about this because we're literally funding our own demise, which is insane. And it doesn't make sense that people actually do this, but unfortunately they do. And if we actually care about the future generations, we need to start fighting back. Don't give out anything real. Question everything. You know what I've been thinking about doing? I've been thinking about publishing. You remember those books when you were a kid? It's like Choose Your Own Adventure. I've been thinking about publishing like a little guide. I could do it for like almost cost. Like it would probably be like $10 or $5. I don't know what I'm talking about, like an actual guide. And you can kind of choose your own adventure. If there's enough interest, I think I would do that. Like basically, if something happens, what do you do? If something happens, it would almost be like a manual, right? Of what, I mean, I can only give you what I recommend of my, experience and my team's experience and all these things. But I thought about like, if you're gonna set this up, here's how you should do it. If you're gonna set up a social media account, if you're gonna set up a bank, like if you're gonna set up all these things, I'm considering that. I'm considering put together like a simple, because it's something that everyone can have, and it would give you some guidance, because there's nothing like that. That doesn't exist. I don't want to just put out something that someone's already done, but there's nothing like that. So I've been considering it. If you want something like that, let me know down below. But the problem is I'm so suppressed that doing things like this sometimes aren't worth my time. I mean, I could get them out there if I spent, I could spend like 10, 20 grand on advertising, put it out there, but is it really worth it? Would enough people want it? I guess we'll see. It's something I thought about. Let me know down below, because I want to start creating some more resources like that. Now you might be saying, Cody, you want to put it in an app. Obviously, I think we both know that I'm not going to put it in an app. I wouldn't even be allowed in the App Store. That's the thing. They can, I don't want to go on another tangent. They control everything. We've allowed them to control everything. Do you think Apple's going to let that app be in the App Store? Of course not. Do you think Microsoft or Android or Google? No, it's not. It's going to be banned everywhere. So I digress. Make sure you get comfortable without using your real name, your real email, your real phone number. Those three things are very important. Don't let them track your web traffic. And when you use Linux, get serious, because Linux is under a full-scale attack. I could do some tutorials. The problem with tutorials is it's not really one size fit all. I'm thinking out loud here, but I got to get back at it. I got a lot more phone calls to make. This is getting very serious. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Put out new content all the time. Also, Blacklisted newsletter going out every Thursday. Appreciate the support. That newsletter is growing like gangbusters. Keep telling everyone you know. Tell your friends. Tell people who want to get this kind of information. Because if you've seen the Blacklisted newsletter, you know it is deep in content. There's nothing else. There's no sponsors. There's nothing to sell. I don't promote anything. I just give you guys the facts from my sources and my network and my resources. And yeah, I've been getting emails every day saying that newsletters that people pay for aren't half as good or half as long or half as in-depth. I know. I will never charge for it. I have no interest in it being a money thing for me. I just want to get the information out there, and it's the one way that I know how that I can't really be suppressed on. So appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Tell everyone you know about the Blacklisted newsletter. Really appreciate it. The links will be down below. Have an amazing day, guys. Keep taking action. Let me know if you want me to make like not a checklist. I don't know. I'm going to have to flush this idea out. I've got a couple ideas that would actually be valuable, and then I can make them for like dirt cheap that a broke teenager could afford, right? I don't want something that's going to be hundreds of dollars. I want it to be like nothing. I want it to be like a couple of bucks. I really kind of think I should publish it in physical form so you have it. You can do. Problem with PDFs, I don't know. I'm gonna have to play with it. Let me know. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Wow!